Hi, and welcome to the Social Media Switch Off with me, Trina Kavanagh-Thomas, the alternative personal trainer for intuitive, spiritual, and manifesting coaches. Today, I'm with the fabulous transformational coach, Rosalyn Palmer. And I would say walking pal.
Yeah, at one point.
we do need to get out again, to be fair.
Back in the day.
But, you know, just to sit in the presence of you and to listen to, everything that you've got to say is just so amazing. I mean, I'm just going to go through a few things on here because, you are the mental wellbeing transformation coach. And, you combine RTT, so rapid transformational therapy, clinical hypnotherapy and coaching, and you create deep changes within people. And you really do. And I have to say that even in the presence of your company, you always radiate energy, a really nice energy and a really good energy about you. So you are award-winning author, columnist, broadcaster, and you help high-performing and burnt-out business women add joy and balance into their lives.
As well.
Yeah, as well. And to even just sit here at this moment, you move in house and everything, and it's just so see but it's so lovely to actually have you on here and to have you back again because you were here before. And I'll possibly post a link to that interview, or actually pop it up on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about burnout and, how to get through burnout and how to cope with it. So tell us more about you. What you've been up to recently?
God.
All day.
Thank you so much. Well, yeah, my go-to client is burnt out Barbara or Bob. Or, somebody recently said, what about overwhelmed Oscar as well?
I like that.
Stressed out Steve or Samantha. So yeah, because that was me really. And I technically didn't burn out when I was in my very high powered PR career, which is what I came through in the 80s and the 90s in big London agencies, and then my own award-winning business. I was a millionairess at 40. I retired at 40 with £1 million in the bank and an 8-bedroom house in London, and of course, doesn't that sound grand? Doesn't that sound amazing? And I technically hadn't burnt out. I had really seen it coming. My Ayurvedic doctor, other people who were giving me really good advice, my psychotherapist, you name it. I had all these people which were like putting sticking plasters all over me. And I just managed to get through. And I thought I'd pulled it off. I really did. I thought, yay, I've managed to pull it off. I've managed to come through this insane world of PR and London and agency life. I've managed to build a company from a £5,000 redundancy payment to a 1.3 million company and sell it and get this big house all in 9 years. And of course, the pain that went into that was 80-hour weeks, sleepless nights, lots of health issues, infertility, kind of overwhelm and stress. All you think of a stress-related issue. But I had this fantastic chorus of wellness people, my psychotherapist, my Ayurvedic doctor, my massage therapist, my acupuncturist, my healer, because I'd come through some quite new agey stuff in the 80s when I worked at Lynn Frank's PR, which is what AbFab was based on. I was around very different people from, what I'd grown up with in Nottingham as a grocer's daughter. And I'd go home and tell my mum, I'd be like, oh, I went to a healing circle today. She'd be like, very nice, dear. I did a firewalk at the weekend. Oh, okay. Ironically, my mum ended up doing a firewalk because I did the picture for Tony Robbins, and my mum ended up doing his course and did a firewalk, and then proudly used to walk around her close in a village in Nottinghamshire with I've done a firewalk, So yeah, I mean, it was a bit it was out there back in the day, Trina. It really was. And the people I work with, some of the self-development gurus, but thank God, because I wouldn't be sitting talking to you today. So all that time I was super stressed and drinking too much, because I was in that very octane fueled agency and journalisty world, agency of London world. I at least was counterbalancing it. I ate really well. All sorts of stuff. So I was keeping the dis-ease pretty much at bay most of the time, although I did have a nice bout of dengue fever, shingles, glandular fever, had to have my tonsils removed, couldn't conceive. I thought all these things were like manageable, and think what my life would have been like if I wasn't doing all the good stuff to counterbalance it. So I thought, yay, I've got out intact. I've dodged a bullet. Off I go to the Bahamas, because my ex came from the Bahamas and we took over his family company to help it through for a while. That was never really a plan, but that was what happened. And I'll be honest, I was lost when I got there. I suddenly had lost all my identity, my ego. I'd go to dinner parties and people would say things like, what's your favorite cupcake recipe? And I'd say, I used to manage a multi-million-pound PR company. So I put all my energy into just being fit, but I didn't realize it wasn't healthy. So I was 7 stone. I'd run 5 miles every day, go to the gym. I stayed nice and regular with my weight because I was bulimic, just for good measure. And so to all intents and purposes, I looked and thought that I'd pulled it all off. And then the cancer came. Then the cancer came. Then the marital breakdown came. Then the depression came. Then all those other things came. So for me, the payment, if you like, of that stressful lifetime came afterwards. And then everything I thought I'd got away with and had imploded and crashed and burned. And from leaving at the height of, my success, I returned 5 years later, a single unemployed mum with 2 kids, going through cancer treatment, just in time to see my own mum die of cancer. My dad had had a stroke, and really kind of think, oh, okay, the ashes of my life were around me. And so it wasn't a fun experience, I think we can safely say. And I did get very depressed for quite a long time. I also got tipped into a very early aggressive menopause because of all the hormonal issues with the cancer. And I genuinely thought, I felt quite suicidal, to be honest. It was a bit like, I don't even know who I am. What have I got to live for? But I did manage to reinvent myself, to reset my life. I married again. I became head of a training and development company for marketing, then an international charity. But the menopause, and really, I think this underlying depression, particularly when my father then died, really meant that I was really hiding behind a mask for quite some time. So the stress wasn't critical, like a lot of people get a critical stress-related issue or stress-related illness. But it was this kind of low-lying, sapping me of joy, robbing me of who I felt I was, who am I, all of that. And so I've had both. I've had kind of the critical stress and burnout and overwhelm, and I've had the low-lying, insidious there all the time. And when finally I had a second divorce and really hit another wall, particularly with the menopause and everything, I thought, right, I have to truly, genuinely do something about this again. And that's when I retrained in therapy and coaching and really took a big, big handle back on my life again about 5-6 years ago. And so I do feel quite well placed to talk about stress.
And you know what? You were touching on things like that even I've been affected by, and possibly most of our viewers who are going to watch this have been affected by as well. The one thing that you were talking about was that running all the time, exercising all the time, but yet secretly, having, some eating pattern or eating issue, eating disorder, eating issue, whatever you want to call it, bulimia, anorexia, taking laxatives. And
you look good. You look good. I was really, I had a 6-pack, I was 7 stone, and I could dead weight in the gym. I had a 6-pack. I mean, so I look good, but the damage I was doing to my not just physically, but really, I think psychologically as well. I really did not truly, genuinely understand that at the time, but now I do.
Yeah, because I think, sometimes, I'm sure you relate to this as well. I mean, I definitely relate to that. That, a lot of health is perpetuated in such a way that it's almost like you have to look a certain way, and as long as you look that way, then that's okay.
I did look good, and I wasn't drinking very much then, because I was the reason I didn't drink was because of the calories. It was like
not for the fact that it did your body very good, but no,
you can't stay 7 stone if you're drinking because of all the sugar, and so there were people, including myself, really, living in the Bahamas, who literally said to me, "Oh my God, if you've got cancer, what hope is there for the rest of us?" It's the poster girl of being fit and healthy by that time, because I'd had a few years beyond selling the business and managing to, get myself what I thought was back on track. But no, the damage had been done. The stress had laid down the markers, the cancer markers. I also have some hereditary factors, which I'd never really been aware of. I'd had hormonal issues pretty much all my life. Clearly infertility. I had difficult periods in my 20s. I'd had a completely depleted immune system because of years of antibiotics. Nobody at the time ever sat me down and went, all these things might be adding up to something really not great for you. And so it was a bit of a shock, I'll be honest. But, it's the best thing that ever happened to me, because it made me have to really learn so much more about my health, my fitness, and to really take my own life in my own hands. I turned down lots of treatment that I was offered in America. I chose my own path. I moved to an out island in the Bahamas and lived on the land and the sea on a 10-acre organic farm. Before Insta, before all these things would have been trendy, I'd be an internet sensation now, because I'm out on my farm every day going, and I'm growing these and I'm growing that, and we caught that fish, and but I genuinely did that and got my health back. Unfortunately, the psychological cost and the marriage broke down and other things was too much. So I've really had to that's why I called my book Reset. I had to reset over and over again. And so when high performing particular execs come to me, and I've worked with some, seriously high performing people around the world who, 6-figure salaries, they think nothing of staff, and they're traveling all over the world. But I say to them, I need to head you off at the pass. You're in a wagon. It's going full pelt. Nobody's got the reins of the horses, and there's a huge canyon over there, and you are headed for that pass. And of course, it all looks fine. They've got all the compliments of the lovely house and the great title and the job. And back in the day when we could still get on aeroplanes, they were flying all over the place, and wherever else. And they do well, most of them. They're very high functioning, good people. But you just know that damage, that imbalance, that dis-ease is coming, at both a physical and a psychological level.
Absolutely. You know what? Absolutely. What burnout does to you emotionally and physically is, untold, isn't it? Like you said, they're on that path, and they're going in that wagon, and they're going so fast, and they go to where?
So here's I've been doing a lot of work on resilience recently, because I wasn't very well in lockdown, and so I thought, better get it all back on track again, and let's work this out. And I did. And then with a partner who I've done a couple of courses with, Stuart Ross, we were talking about it one day, and he said, resilience is so key, particularly in these difficult times, and anti-fragility. And so we have got a course coming out. And so I've really, really immersed myself, not just in everything I've known for 30 years and all the training I've done for the last 5-6 years, but really immersed myself in this whole area. I think when people hear burnout, they, it'll mean whatever it means to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the true issue is it comes cognitively, so, up here. It comes physiologically, so, within your body. And it kind of comes really spiritually, if you like, or kind of that essence of your very self. And at any one of those levels, you can get burnout, and it can come at all three. So clearly, physiologically, and you'll know this very much from your brilliant area of expertise, we're very primitive in our key ways our brain works. And the limbic amygdala is the primeval part of the brain. That's the caveman thinking, if you like. We stay alive because basically we do fight, flight, or freeze. I must stay away from danger. I must survive. I must procreate. Humanity must continue. Danger alert. Let's keep away from it. It's a saber-toothed tiger. I must run away, I must fight it, or I must bob down and not let it see me. But fight or flight, they tend to be the two main ones. So when we have a danger, but also it can be a perceived danger, the body floods with cortisol, and that's what triggers you into that. You're going to fight it or you're going to run away from it. And it's not a very subtle process, because all your kind of critical thinking goes out the window at that point, because I'm a caveman. I'm out. I'm having a lovely day. I'm gathering some berries, and suddenly I turn and there's a saber-toothed tiger. At that point in time, I do not go, oh, I wonder if that's a male or a female. Oh, isn't it lovely? It's a bit more orange than the one I saw last week, or oh, shall I run away that way or that way? That will be better because it's on my way back home. No, you just go, run or fight it, because that is how we survive as a species. And the trouble is perceived danger, and that can be everything from somebody cutting you up in traffic. So it's a kind of a thing that happens, somebody invading your space. But it can also be a perceived threat because maybe somebody said something very harsh to you in a really horrible way that probably triggers some inner child hurt from childhood. That was the way I was spoken to before I got a hit round the head. That was the way I was spoken to before that terrible thing used to happen to me. That was the way that that was the tone that was used. That were the words that were used. The way my name was said was that way. All of that will trigger that primeval aspect in you, and your body will flood with cortisol. And when cortisol isn't needed for fight or flight, it's really, really, really damaging. And it's very hard to get it out your body. And what you do is you're doing this little bits of it over and over again every day. Oh, that happened. Somebody said that thing to me in that tone. They cut me up in traffic. Oh, I'm really worried about my review with my boss, whatever. Over the day, it's like these little triggers of this really bad, think of it as an injection. You're being injected something really bad over and over again. And unless you do lots to balance that out, the body is going to get so that the parasympathetic system, so the part of the body that actually is like your rest and digest and kind of helps you sleep and brings your body back into kilter, it's going to be really, really out of kilter. I mean, I'm simplifying this, but I hope you get the gist of it. So that's really bad. And physically, that's why suddenly you might get a panic attack virtually out of nowhere. And you think, where did that come from? I had one after my second divorce. I'd never had one before. I'd literally called 999, thought I was dying. And it just happened like out of the blue. I was just in the kitchen, and you think, how did that happen? Well, it's that accumulation. It's that buildup of all that toxicity within your body that hasn't been balanced and got out. So so stress and overwhelm, clearly there's a physical way. Mentally, again, the cognitive function within the brain isn't going to work properly. So all that stress, all that overwhelm, you're not going to be thinking straight. You're not going to be making really great decisions. Another part of the brain that's important to know is the RAS. It's called the reticular activating system, and basically it's a funnel. Because our brains and us and everything we do, our senses, we're really clever. We're like, I like to say, like Terminator, when Terminator, and he kind of goes, like to find John Connor or the human. And we're like that. And actually, we're like a computer. And if we just literally took every sensory bit of information in every day, our computer would crash, it would overload.
Yeah.
And this filter filters stuff in. The trouble with the filter is it gets very good at filtering, and then you almost don't see other stuff, or you get very, like Terminator.
Almost like shiny object syndrome.
John Connor, whatever. And particularly when you're stressed, that filter is going to make you keep doing stuff over and over again, or seeing stuff over and over again. And that might not necessarily be what's best or right for you at that time, which is why people miss stuff, they forget stuff, they're not really paying attention. It can actually be dangerous at a very big level.
Wow. That, and that is so like a real in-depth view as well, and so well spoken out about, because you're so right. There are certain things that we take in, and we do miss out quite a lot of stuff. And you're right, we sometimes don't notice stuff. We don't notice things that are around us, the type of environment that we're in. I suppose it then comes down to things like mindfulness, right?
Of course, absolutely. And I mean, we could have a completely different conversation about culturally. I mean, culturally, and I think it's an important conversation to have. Because ultimately, the RAS could actually create massive prejudice, within you again. Because if you're brought up with a filter, which is, let's just give people colours, okay? But all green people are bad. All blue people are good, all green people are bad. You will create that filter over time where, all green people are bad, all blue people are good. You'll end up surrounded by green people. And because your filter is going, green people are bad, green people are bad, green people are bad, 99% of the green people could be absolutely lovely, and you will not be filtering it. And the 1%, the one person who maybe isn't nice or doesn't say something nice to you, you'll filter that. So it's actually very anthropologically scary about things like prejudice. But sorry, I know we're not here to discuss that.
No, but you know what, that is so true, because one of my studies recently has been into authoritarianism, and then looking into how we kind of get led along.
Yeah.
Who are the people to get led along by things? Can we put fear into people and lead them in a way that we want them to do something, and that they'll just follow us and do whatever we want them to do?
Absolutely.
And you can see where people have actually got that from as well. You can see it coming through people. There's lots of arguments on it though, isn't there?
Well, yes, of course, because you live what you learn and you learn what you learn. Of course, that's really, really important. But also your beliefs are yours to choose.
Yeah, you can change them.
That's very much what I do with people I work with. So it's like, I can never have money because money doesn't grow on trees and nobody in our family's ever made money. Well, that's a really interesting concept, because you heard that over and over again. And I get it. I'm not poo-pooing that isn't really influential. But, that was when you were 10, that was when you were 5, that was when you were 20. You're now 43, and you can now choose to have a different mindset, about money or about whatever values. So one of the things I do with my coaching clients is I get them to question their values. If their values are still working for them, great. I'm not here to judge. Whatever your values are, if they work for you, that's great. That's your moral compass, that's your values. But if they're values that were kind of, like you said, in an authoritarian way, enforced upon you or filtered into you, and now you're like, I feel really uncomfortable with that, and that's really not working for me. I'm a blue person, I've met a really nice green person, I'd really like to be with them, but scrambly wambly, your value is there to change. And yes, mindfulness, but also coaching exercises, and if you need to really go back to work out where the values were laid down, therapy and hypnotherapy, RTT. I'm sorry I'm prejudiced, but it's better than anything I know for really getting to those root, when was it laid down? And a lot of that will be to do with corrections officers. So along the line of what you're saying, authoritarian. When we grow up, our corrections officers are our parents, they're our teachers. Don't do that. You know, and a lot of it is for good reason. You know, don't put your hand in the fire.
Yeah. You know, a lot of it is for good reason, but then obviously some of it, you know, obviously then goes through someone's life.
Of course.
And then they can end up, you know, pleasing others, you know, wanting to do fear of missing out. That's a new buzzword, isn't it? FOMO, having that FOMO. And validation as well. Validation's a massive one.
It's deeper than that, Trina. It's not just wanting to please others. You may be operated. It's like having an operating system installed in you. Okay, you're an early computer. You've had this early operating system installed in you, and that operating system comes with lots of bells and whistles. But quite a few of those things say things like, "You'll never amount to much," or don't talk in front of people, you're rubbish at that, or, you know, you won't do this, or you must do that, or whatever. And it's inculcated at such a deep level, it literally becomes a groove in the mind. And sometimes people really want to change and they try really hard and they keep looping back like Groundhog Day. And that's when they can be depressed because they absolutely feel out of kilter. And they'll come to me and say, I don't know what it is about me. I must lack willpower. I really, really want to do this. I really want to do it. It's really important for my career, my job, my family, my life, my happiness. Just keep sabotaging it and not doing, because those corrections officers in your very formative years effectively installed that really not very helpful now software. And for good measure, we create what we call the internal correction officers. So for good measure, even when they're not around anymore, we carry on saying it to ourselves.
So it's almost like a little echo in the background.
Take the role over, you know. Oh, who are you to do this? Why are you doing that? It'll only fail. You'll embarrass yourself. Don't do it. I had a client, she calls it the voices in the attic. I love that.
I love it. I like that one, and that is brilliant. So how do you create that anti-fragility or resilience on an emotional, spiritual, and also physical level?
Absolutely. So as said, because it comes from all three, you really need to come back at it from all three. Now, I could talk about all of them and I will tell you some major ways, but here's what was a game changer for me. I listened to a podcast over lockdown and it was about really high performing athletes and the coaching that they had and the mindsets that they have, because I'm always fascinated by, you know, high performers. And the one thing that high performing athletes do differently to average people like us is they have, you know, schedules, they have training, they do really good stuff with their nutrition and their mindset, you know, all the stuff that we probably know about and are fascinated about. But if you look at an athlete's schedule, and you're going to like this because you'll relate to this, the thing that they always have is rest and recovery. They always rest and recovery because
and food.
Yeah, well, of course, all the good nutrition and everything else.
Lots of food. Lots of food. Lots of food. More calories than what any diet says.
Totally. I'm on the same page with you.
Yeah.
I'm all for high fat. You know, you need essential fatty acids. Guess what? They're called essential.
Yeah, but I love that. Rest.
Yeah.
Rest. And you know me.
Look, I'm talking to the poster girl for this. Okay, you are the poster girl for this. So, you know, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but I just...
No, you are. I am learning.
Yeah.
I'm always learning. Always learning.
Forming clients now, I'll say to them, right, you've got to schedule rest in every day. When you go to school, you only do 40-minute lessons because you can't really concentrate for much more than 40 minutes. I want you to take 20 minutes in every hour off. No, that's impossible. It's non-negotiable. Okay, I want you to take at least 5 minutes in every hour off. Okay, just to stretch, walk around. And I want you to schedule rest in every day. You don't have to put it in your diary as rest. You can put it in as preparing the board papers, or I don't care what you call it, so that it's blocked out in your diary, and that is rest. And that rest can be different things. It can be breathing, it can be mindfulness, it can be meditation, it can be listening to a hypnosis tape, soothing music. A naps are brilliant.
Yeah.
Again, particularly with so many people working from home, but if you are a boss, maybe have places in your office and in your workplace where people can go and be undisturbed. There's a great thing I came across called a nappuccino.
Oh, I like that.
So
A cappuccino.
you have a coffee, but I'm a bit dubious because I don't think you should drink coffee after lunchtime. I'll come on to that. But
Or before sleep as well.
have a coffee and then you take a nap, and the caffeine hits you after about 20 minutes, and 20 minutes is the perfect time for a short nap that doesn't go into too deep a brainwave pattern that you feel groggy when you wake up. So a nappuccino, that's kind of a trendy way, but otherwise just set a timer for 20 minutes. But yeah, so things like clearly good nutrition, all the things you are a health coach for, and I'm an advocate of as well. Good nutrition, green leafy vegetables, good vitamins, supplements if you're not getting it. Like at the moment, I'm taking vitamin D3, because we don't get much sunshine. Throughout COVID, because I really wasn't very well at first, I was taking zinc and vitamin C and magnesium and MSN, so really find out what's right for you. Absorption is key, as you know, because I've had leaky gut forever. I was given 9 years of antibiotics as a child. And then I had radiation treatment. These are not good things for your gut. So really good probiotics. Sauerkraut, really good probiotic type food, fermented food, kefir, kimchi, all that stuff. It's really brilliant for your digestion, because it's not just what you put in, but it's how much of those nutrients you take. So all of this is key. Rest, so sleep. I've got loads of hacks for sleeping, and again, I'm bringing out a hypnosis recording for sleeping. Key, absolutely key. And I must say, mine's been interrupted lately because I've had a rat infestation in my That's not been good for my sleep, but I tap up during the day. So all the good things, but being in nature, you're going to love this one. That's my other absolute go-to one. And there's studies now from Japan. There's a brilliant study from Japan that shows that people in a hospital who looked out onto trees compared to people in a hospital who looked out onto like a wall or whatever, the recovery rates, and I've got this percentage somewhere but not with me, but the recovery rates for post-operative care, for lack of infections, for getting out of the hospital, for just recovery full stop, were phenomenally different. And the Japanese do this forest bathing, get out right into nature. And I know you're the girl for this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
No, but you are, because the thing is, there's always something to learn, like looking out the window and looking at different scenery. You can see, and it's already written in text, that the happier that you are, the faster that you heal. Wounds heal 25% slower if you're in a state of stress than if you are not in a state of stress. And that was one study that I found somewhere. But it's so true what you're saying.
Did you know that 90% of doctors' visits in America are related to stress? Wow,
no. See, as I said, I'm always learning something new, and I did not know that. And that's amazing. And funnily enough, heart disease and heart issues, I think it was 649,000 deaths from heart disease, one of the biggest killers in America.
Yeah, again, and look, there's physical and emotional factors. So this new trinity for me. Let's talk about the spiritual one for a moment. Yeah. Your spirituality is your spirituality. I'm not saying you have to have a faith, but it's proven that people who have a faith and actually engage in prayer or meditation or chanting, whatever it is, tend to have much higher resilience. Not just because of the support that they feel they're getting from something beyond themselves and around themselves, but from the very act of doing it. The very act of prayerfulness, etc., and saying om resonates in the body. I'll come back to that in a minute about the parasympathetic system. But gratitude, that's, everybody can be grateful. That you don't need a phenomenal creed or, you know, belief. Gratitude, again, it's proven that if you can come out of kind of depressive thoughts, stress related cycles, by thinking about what you can be grateful for. Now, the caveat is that we have a negativity bias in our brain. Again, I'm going to go back to Mr. Caveman and the saber-toothed tiger. He's my best go-to example. We look for what's wrong, because back in the day, that was how we survived, you know, by going, what's wrong with this picture? Oh, a large creature with big teeth is running towards me, you know. So we looked for what was wrong. So the brain, and it's proven now, they've done huge studies, Harvard, and there's lots of books on it about the brain's negativity bias. We have a negativity bias. We are hardwired for it. So we tend to look for what's wrong rather than what's right.
Yeah.
So the researchers say that it's a 4 or 5 to 1 ratio. So really, in a way, for every negative thought you're having, you should be having 4 or 5 positive ones, you know. And okay, you force yourself, but gratitude is the way to do it. So I'm feeling rubbish. I'm sat on my desk. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, a bit stressed. I'm going to take a breather. I'm going to move. I'm going to get outside for 5 minutes, 10 minutes in nature. I'm going to eat something nourishing for my body. I'm going to breathe. Breathing is so important.
Yes, absolutely.
Can do about breathing, but quick breathing exercise, just be aware that you're breathing, take in more oxygen, and then just go, what 5 things am I grateful for? You know, I'm grateful I'm still alive. I'm grateful that I get to live through interesting times. For, even though my house is damaged, that I've got a house. You know, I am grateful that people want to help me. I'm grateful I can help people. It's so rewarding. You know, there's always things to be grateful. So keep a gratitude journal, keep a gratitude jar. All this is really important. So I was just going to tell you about the parasympathetic system, because this is the rest and digest, and this is key. So we have this nerve called the vagal nerve, or the vagus nerve, and it's the missing link. It's only really been in quite recent years it's been discovered, and it goes from your brain to your stomach. So all those years, everybody was going, I've got a gut feeling. Yeah, because your brain, your stomach literally is your second brain, because you have this super highway, and Vegas comes from vagabond, which means wandering, because it kind of goes right through your body, and it literally links to every major important organ in your body, the pancreas, the heart, the spleen, the liver, you name it. They're all linked to this vagal nerve. So if this vagal nerve is out of kilter, you're out of kilter. And there are ways to reset what they call your vagal tone. So in other words, to get this back into balance, to get this good. And they are kind of bonkers, but they work. So humming is one of them, because the noise, the resonance of the hum in your head evidently creates, you know, some sort of auditory environment which this nerve likes. So, you know, I'm starting to hum, I'm starting to reset it. The other one, which seems counterintuitive, is actually shocking the body into resetting itself. This is like the ultimate reset button, you know, before we crash. And to shock the body into resetting itself, the best way is cold water. And you know, why is it then people are having hysterics or whatever? You know, they'll splash some cold water on their face. And of course, people are now getting into open water swimming. So Wim Hof, he is the Iceman. And yeah, I learned from him that having a cold shower every morning really does reset that vagal nerve. And so here's what I tell my clients. I like plays on words. So I say, go in the shower and sing Viva La Vegas in an Elvis voice. So you do a quick blast of Viva Las Vegas, which is Elvis, but Viva La Vegas nerve. Or I find Good King Wenceslas works at Christmas.
Oh, I like that.
Good King. And I can do it for about 2 minutes. I'll be honest, I think you're supposed to do it for a bit longer, but in 2 minutes, I can be under that cold shower, and boy, does it reset you. So humming, cold showers, again, breathing work, meditation, all of these things will reset the vagus nerve. And so it's like your own super highway that's really important to get that balance back.
Wow. That is so good. And then what would you say that, you know, to keep improving it so you future-proof yourself and your well-being?
Well, shameless plug.
Never a shameless plug.
Coming out, I have to remember the right title. It's 60 plus rapid ways to boost your energy, productivity, and focus.
Ooh, love.
So together with Stuart Ross, we've spent the whole of lockdown collaborating. And look, we're not just people who've Googled this. You know, I'm a trained therapist, weight loss practitioner, coach. He's a high performance business coach. We've both been around the worlds of A-Fest and personal development, you know, since the 90s. We walk our talk, both of us, real integrity, and we really know what we're talking about. So we have produced a course, and I'm hoping it will see the light of day before Christmas, but it might be a New Year thing, where, you know, every day for 5 to maybe 15 minutes, you can do one of the hacks. And it won't just explain some of this stuff to you like I've just done, so that you really do understand the importance of it, but it will give you several really easy to do hacks like I'm doing now, you know, humming, having a cold shower, eating green leafy vegetables, whatever the right thing for that element is. So I know that was kind of shameless, but I'm really proud.
It's never a shameless plug.
I'm proud of it. We've got a workbook, and also I'm doing a hypnotic recording which will help boost your resilience and your immunity. So, and it's going to be really cheap because it'll just be on Udemy or something like that. And so, you know, for probably, I don't know what the price will be yet, but for, you know, the price of a meal out, you're going to have something that would literally give you a blueprint. But all of the things I've shared, all the things you share on your page, all the stuff I've got on my website, all of these are the way to not just gain it, but to keep it. So every day. And you know my core philosophy as well. My core philosophy is the 5 F's, because every day it's easy to just look at your hand. And even if you forget all the other stuff, it's been an overwhelm of information and you're like, oh, I know somebody told me something good, but where is it? What is it? What did they say? 5 F's. What have I done today to help my faith? And that's faith in nature, faith in God, faith in the universe, faith in, you know, something beyond yourself, saying prayers, all that area, meditating. What have I done for my fitness, mind and body? Have I given this enough rest? Have I given it the right essential fatty acids? Have I turned off the whirly-gig, overwhelming voices in my head and the attic and created some peace? Meditating, by being mindful, by listening to a recording of hypnosis, by just reading sometimes, switching off from the blue lights and everything. What have I done here, both in terms of building muscle, building resilience, exercising, getting out, but also what have I put inside here and how have I made sure I absorb it? Friends, we are tribal, connected people, and boy, look at the damage that's being done through what's been going on with people being isolated and separated. It's horrible, and we're seeing almost like a massive experiment about what happens when people don't have that human connection.
Absolutely.
And so obviously you can do the best you can in the circumstances we have, but reach out for your friends, you know, check on a friend, create friends. I know not everybody's predisposed to it, but people do need people. And that's the same for family. Now,
Absolutely.
I deal with clients, and I kid you not, when they tell me their stories about why they've ended up, how they've ended up, if I said to them, oh, you really need to make peace with your family, it would be a very big deal breaker. And I'm not a priest. That is not for me to do. Some people's family are not fit for purpose. Other people's family are amazing, but family is your tribe. Family is who you make So the friends and family, it's just your tribe, your connections, your people. What have you done today to strengthen that? And then finance, because money is energy. It all flows through you. You need it. You need to pay it forward. If you've got, an excess amount of it, you need to keep that roof over your head. But what have you done to take a step in that direction? So for me, that's the blueprint every day.
I love that. And not only that, as well, you can hear doors banging in the background. However,
we're very adaptable. The rat run by.
We did, I am going to have to share that video because it was about the 5 Fs as well. And it was such a beautiful interview speaking about the 5 Fs and going a little bit more into depth. So I'll make sure that gets shared on here. Where can we find you?
So you can find me at www.rosalynpalmer.com. That's ROSALYN Palmer.com. And I've got books on there. I've got loads of free resources, lots of freebies, free hypnotic downloads, workbooks, all sorts. There's details about my courses, obviously about working one-on-one with me. I've probably only got a couple of spots before the end of the year, but I'm taking bookings now for 2021. My new courses will come on there. I have another course with Stuart, which is a goal setting course. So when better than now to start goal setting?
Absolutely.
And we've got details of that. And I'm on Twitter and I have my own Facebook page and LinkedIn. Just put Rosalyn Palmer and I'll turn up.
Because what I'll do is I'll make sure all Ros's links are just down below here. And I just really want to finish off this interview with reading this because, funnily enough, it actually goes into running. So, your mind loves what is familiar and dislikes the unfamiliar. See, I've just chosen this page today. This pattern plays out across the world every day. The Premier League football player who compromises his career because he can't face that move to AC Milan with his wife. The lottery winner who spends it all because that is a familiar pattern each weekend on getting a wage on Friday. Yet challenge the familiar or the unknown or the known or the believed in, and it can tumble like a house of cards. For thousands of years, people believed that the human body was not capable of running a mile in less than 4 minutes. Yet a man called Roger Bannister decided he could do just that. In addition to his grueling physical training, he visualized every day the achievement in order to create a sense of certainty in his mind and body. This word visualization is so massive. On the 6th of May, 1954, under monitored conditions, he ran a mile in 3 minutes, 59.4 seconds. Less than a year later, after he did this, his record was smashed, and it continues to be today. Today, it is almost routine. Even athletic high school boys can run a mile under 4 minutes.
Because once we know it's possible, once we make it familiar, we can do it. Children aren't born walking, talking, going to the toilet, eating with a spoon, but repetition and doing it and not going, oh, I can't, I'm giving this up as a bad job. I tried walking, it didn't work. I'm giving it up as a bad job. Nah, I'm out of here. We are wired to make the unfamiliar familiar. And okay, it feels strange because it's unfamiliar, but then it becomes familiar and we expand our horizons. Here's me. I'm packing my house up. I'm going to live with my partner. We've both been married and divorced twice. I'm in my 50s, he's in his 60s. We are embracing a new familiar with this. I've actually got a podcast series coming out. That's at another time. That is a very unfamiliar thing for me, but I'm doing it. So, yeah, thank you for that passage. I like it.
And the thing is, it goes so well with what we were actually talking about.
Yeah.
It goes so well with what we're actually talking about, that you can get through, but without all the burnout or everything. So yeah, it was really great to end on that story. And this is Rosa's book, Reset, and I had to buy it the first time I met her because it's such a great book. And even just picking a page on a daily basis, there's always something that you need to be reading. So thank you very much, Ros, for being here with me today. And thank you everyone for watching this. This is Kavanagh-Thomas on the social media switch off, and we'll be back next Friday at 12 8:30 across all channels. Speak soon. Bye.
Bye.
Right, I will start recording.